Welcome back to the channel. Over the years, we've taken deep dives into the untold stories of musicians, YouTubers, wrestlers, and even law enforcement, peeling back the curtain to reveal the jaw-dropping truths behind their picture-perfect lives. And now, by popular demand, we're turning the spotlight on Hollywood. Today, we're diving into the dark side of fame, exposing the shocking scandals, twisted secrets, and chilling downfalls of actors who've taken the ultimate fall from grace. Buckle up, this one's going to be a wild ride. Joe-sun may not be a household name, but to fans of the 1997 cult comedy Austin Powers, International Man of Mystery, he is best known as Random Task, a comedic parody of the classic James Bond villain Oddjob. Born in South Korea in 1970 and raised in California, Sun found his calling in martial arts, eventually developing his own hybrid style known as Joe-sun Do. His impressive physique and unique fighting techniques drew attention from the start, even earning him a spot in the early days of the UFC, although his only appearance at UFC FV 4 ended in defeat. With his combination of athleticism and comedic timing, he briefly transitioned into acting, landing his most notable role in Austin Powers, where his character's weapon of choice, a throwing shoe, became a fan-favorite running gag. But Sun's time in the spotlight wouldn't last. In 2008, more than a decade after his big screen debut, Joe-sun's life took a dark and unexpected turn. He was arrested on a misdemeanor charge, but during the booking process, his DNA was matched to evidence from a brutal 1990 gang attack that had remained unsolved for nearly 2 decades. The news shocked the public and painted a much darker picture of the man behind the comedic role. Things only got worse. While serving his sentence, Joe-sun was involved in a deadly brawl with his cellmate, Michael Thomas Graham, and in 2017, he was convicted of second-degree assault. The conviction tarnished his reputation not as a fighter or an actor, but as a violent criminal. Danny Masterson rose to fame in the early 2000s as Stephen Hyde, the laid-back, sharp-witted rebel on the hit sitcom That 70s Show. With his deadpan humor and effortless cool, Masterson quickly became a fan favorite, helping the show become a pop culture staple. Born in 1976 in Long Island, New York, he started his career young, appearing in commercials before transitioning to TV and film. Outside of acting, Masterson also found success as a DJ under the name DJ Mom Jeans, gaining attention for his offbeat style and charm. But behind the scenes, troubling allegations would eventually unravel his public image. In the early 2000s, multiple women came forward accusing Masterson of sexual misconduct, with incidents dating back to between 2001 and 2003. As the Me Too movement gained momentum in 2017, the case drew widespread media attention, especially given Masterson's connection to the Church of Scientology. Critics and accusers claimed the organization worked to silence victims and cover up the allegations, raising concerns about power, influence, and justice in Hollywood. While Masterson continued to work most notably in Netflix's The Ranch, public pressure mounted. In 2020, he was officially charged, though he maintained the encounters were consensual. The trial began in 2023, and emotional testimony from the victims laid bare the immense psychological toll they endured, shedding light on the many challenges survivors face when confronting influential figures. In May 2023, Masterson was convicted on 2 of 3 counts, and by September, he was sentenced to 30 years to life in prison. The case became a defining moment in Hollywood's ongoing reckoning with abuse, accountability, and power. Shannon Richardson, a name once familiar to fans of hit shows like The Walking Dead and The Vampire Diaries, was on her way to becoming a standout in Hollywood's supporting cast. But behind the red carpets and camera flashes, a much darker story was unfolding. In 2013, the rising actress made headlines for all the wrong reasons when she was arrested in a chilling criminal case that shocked both Hollywood and Washington. Richardson was charged with sending letters laced with the deadly toxin ricin to then-President Barack Obama, New York City Mayor Michael Bloomberg, and other high-profile figures. The nation was stunned. What started as an anonymous threat quickly became a high-priority investigation once authorities uncovered the poison letters. The act wasn't just dangerous, it was calculated and deeply disturbing. When caught, Richardson tried to pin the blame on her husband, but the evidence was overwhelming. Her fingerprints, her computer data, her plan. In July 2014, she was sentenced to 18 years in federal prison. Jeffrey Jones may not be a household name, but his face is etched in pop culture history. With standout roles in Ferris Bueller's Day Off, Beetlejuice, and Amadeus, Jones became known for playing eccentric, often authoritative characters with a perfect balance of humor and edge. Trained at the London Academy of Music and Dramatic Art, he built a steady career through the 80s and 90s, becoming a favorite among directors like Tim Burton. Whether portraying the laughably strict Principal Rooney or the quirky Charles Dietz, Jones had a gift for stealing scenes and leaving a lasting impression. But behind the acclaim was a dark chapter waiting to unfold. In 2002, Jones's career took a dramatic turn when he was arrested on charges related to inappropriate conduct with a minor. The investigation uncovered disturbing evidence, sending shockwaves through Hollywood. A year later, Jones pled guilty, receiving 5 years probation, mandatory counseling, and lifetime registration as a sex offender. The revelation not only stunned fans and colleagues, it effectively ended his career. Following the scandal, the once celebrated character actor saw his roles dry up. Studios distanced themselves, and audiences struggled to separate the actor from his actions. Though his earlier performances had earned him a respected place in film history, the severity of his crimes overshadowed everything. Shelley Malil may not be a household name, but fans of the 2005 comedy hit The 40-Year-Old Virgin will remember him for his standout performance as Hayes, an eccentric, witty co-worker who provided some of the film's most memorable comedic moments. Born in 1964 in Kerala, India, Malil moved to the United States as a child and grew up in Texas, where he developed a passion for acting through local theater. In the early 90s, he moved to Hollywood, facing a difficult path in an industry where few Indian American actors had a chance. However, his talent and perseverance earned him roles on major television shows like NYPD Blue, The West Wing, and Scrubs. But it was The 40-Year-Old Virgin that really put him on the map, sharing screen time with rising stars like Steve Carell, Paul Rudd, and Seth Rogen. While the film propelled many of his co-stars to A-list status, Malil's career took a nosedive, and in 2008, his career came to a violent and tragic end. On August 10 of that year, he shocked the public by brutally attacking his ex-girlfriend, Kendra Beebe, at her home in San Marcos, California. She survived the attack, but suffered severe physical and mental trauma. The incident marked a dark and irreversible turn in Malil's life, erasing any trace of his comedic on-screen persona and leaving the world stunned by the contrast between his public image and his private actions. Neighbors called the police after hearing the commotion, and Malil was quickly arrested and charged with attempted murder and assault with a deadly weapon. During the trial, prosecutors painted a picture of a calculated and brutal attack, arguing that Beebe's injuries reflected a level of intentionality that was frightening. Malil, who claimed he had lost control in a fit of rage, was eventually convicted in 2010 and sentenced to 12 years to life in prison. Michael Jace was once a respected character actor, best known for his gripping portrayal of LAPD officer Julian Lowe on the critically acclaimed TV series The Shield. With a commanding presence and a quiet intensity, Jace often played characters who carried authority and emotional weight. He had a small but memorable role in Forrest Gump, 1994, showcasing his range early on, but it was The Shield beginning in 2002 that cemented his status in Hollywood. His portrayal of a devout, conflicted police officer earned praise for its depth and complexity, and Jace was widely recognized for bringing authenticity and vulnerability to the screen. Behind the scenes, however, Jace's personal life was unraveling. Despite his on-screen success, he faced mounting financial difficulties, filing for bankruptcy in 2011 with debts exceeding $500,000. These pressures, combined with ongoing tension in his marriage to April Jace, created a volatile home environment. Then, on May 19, 2014, that tension exploded into tragedy. In a fit of rage, Jace fatally shot his wife at their Los Angeles home, an act of violence witnessed by their 2 young children. The crime sent shockwaves through both the entertainment industry and the public, as fans struggled to reconcile the actor they admired with the man behind the headlines. After his arrest, Jace confessed to the shooting during a chilling 911 call. Prosecutors presented a strong case during his 2016 trial, revealing a history of domestic abuse and arguing that the murder was not just impulsive, but calculated. While the defense claimed emotional distress drove his actions, the jury convicted Jace. He was sentenced to 40 years to life in prison. The tragedy devastated his family, particularly his sons, who effectively lost both parents in one horrific night. Michael Jace's story stands as a heartbreaking reminder of how unchecked emotional turmoil and personal demons can destroy lives, even those once illuminated by fame. Ryan Grantham was once considered a rising star in Canadian film and television. Born in 1998 in British Columbia, he began acting at a young age and quickly gained attention for his expressive acting. His early roles included shows like Supernatural, Zombie, and Unspeakable. He also appeared in the beloved family film Diary of a Wimpy Kid as Rodney James, a minor but memorable character. But behind the scenes, Grantham's life was falling apart. He reportedly struggled with severe mental health issues, including depression and anxiety, which began to affect his relationships and cloud his outlook on the future. Those close to him noticed that he became increasingly withdrawn, had erratic behavior, and showed signs of emotional distress. As his internal struggles grew, they began to overshadow his career. Tragically, those battles came to a head on March 31, 2020, when Grantham committed a horrific act. He shot and killed his mother, Barbara Waite, at their home in Squamish, British Columbia. After the incident, he loaded his car with weapons and supplies, allegedly planning to continue the violence by targeting Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau. Fortunately, he changed his route and turned himself into police, confessing to the crime. Grantham's arrest and the disturbing details that followed shocked the public and shone a light on the dangers of untreated mental illness. In 2022, he went on trial for second-degree murder. Prosecutors presented evidence that the crime was premeditated, including video recordings and journal entries in which he rehearsed the crime. The defense argued that Grantham's mental state, particularly his depression and disconnect from reality, played a major role in the tragedy. Despite expressing remorse, Grantham was convicted and sentenced to life in prison, with the possibility of parole after 14 years. Skyler Delion, born on August 12, 1979 in Sun Valley, California, once dreamed of stardom. As a child actor, he landed a small role in the beloved TV series Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, but his time in the spotlight was brief. As the roles dried up and the dream faded, Delion found himself struggling financially and emotionally. The pressures of adulthood, coupled with the frustration of a failed Hollywood career, began to take a toll, and slowly, his ambitions twisted into something far darker, driven not by fame, but by desperation and greed. In 2004, Delion, along with his wife Jennifer Henderson and two accomplices John Fitzgerald Kennedy and Alonzo McCain, carried out a horrifying plan. Posing as interested buyers, they lured retired couple Thomas and Jackie Hawks aboard their yacht, the well-deserved, under the pretense of purchasing it. Once out at sea, the group attacked the Hawks, forced them to sign over ownership of the boat, and then carried out an unthinkable act. They tied the couple to an anchor and threw them overboard alive. The case made national headlines, with the sheer cruelty of the act horrifying the public. In 2008, Skyler Delion was sentenced to death for the murders of Thomas and Jackie Hawks, while his accomplices also received lengthy prison sentences. What began as a pursuit of fame ended in infamy, and Delion's story now stands as a haunting example of how far unchecked greed and personal failure can drive someone. The pain left behind for the Hawks family is immeasurable, a tragic reminder of the real human cost behind such monstrous actions. Born in Des Moines, Iowa, in 1947, Stephen Collins pursued acting from a young age, honing his craft at prestigious institutions and establishing himself on stage before making the leap to film and television. His ability to shift effortlessly between dramatic and comedic roles helped him stand out in Hollywood, earning parts in notable films like Star Trek, the motion picture, Jumpin' Jack Flash, and The First Wives Club. By the mid-1990s, Collins had become a respected and familiar face in the industry. But it was in 1996, with the premiere of Seventh Heaven, that he reached household name status. On Seventh Heaven, Collins played Reverend Eric Camden, the moral and compassionate patriarch of a large family. The show resonated with audiences for its focus on faith, family values, and life's everyday challenges. Over 11 seasons, Collins's character became a staple of family-friendly programming, a trusted fatherly figure known for wisdom, integrity, and unwavering guidance. But in 2014, that carefully built image collapsed. During a legal dispute, past allegations of sexual misconduct involving minors were brought to light, shattering public perception. Though the statute of limitations prevented legal prosecution, the revelations were deeply disturbing and sparked widespread outrage. Collins admitted to inappropriate behavior and expressed remorse, but the fallout was immediate and severe. He lost professional opportunities, and reruns of Seventh Heaven were pulled from several networks. Fans struggled to reconcile the wholesome Reverend Camden with the man behind the scenes. Ultimately, the scandal ended Collins's career and tarnished the legacy of a show once seen as a beacon of family values. Sean Combs, widely known by his stage name Diddy, has long been a towering figure in music, business, and entertainment. With a career that spans decades, he's earned acclaim not only for his chart-topping hits, but also for ventures into fashion, film, and television, including a role in the 2014 sports drama Draft Day. Once celebrated for his influence, charisma, and success, Combs is now at the center of a rapidly unfolding scandal that has cast a dark shadow over his once glittering public image. On September 16, 2024, he was arrested at a New York hotel, facing a wave of serious federal charges, including sex trafficking, racketeering, and transporting individuals for prostitution. According to the indictment, which outlines alleged criminal activity dating back to 2009, Combs is accused of operating a criminal enterprise that systematically exploited women through coercion, manipulation, and intimidation. Prosecutors claim he used his status, threats, and even drugs to maintain control over victims while presenting a polished public persona to the world. Despite the gravity of the charges, Combs has pleaded not guilty, with his legal team insisting that he is the target of a politically motivated and unjust prosecution. Diddy has remained vocal in his denial of all allegations, maintaining his innocence as the case continues to unfold. However, prosecutors have presented deeply disturbing evidence, including the discovery of weapons and large quantities of lubricants during searches of his properties, alongside testimony and claims of long-term abuse and coercion. Twice denied bail, Combs is currently being held at the Metropolitan Detention Center under special observation for his safety. If convicted, he faces a potential sentence ranging from 15 years to life in prison. Young-soo, best known for his unforgettable portrayal of Player One in the global phenomenon Squid Game, experienced a meteoric rise to international fame following the show's success in 2021. His performance as the seemingly frail yet wise elder captured audiences worldwide, ultimately earning him a historic Golden Globe Award, the first for a Korean actor in the supporting role category. But just as his career reached new heights, became embroiled in a serious legal controversy that would cast a lasting shadow over his legacy. In late 2021, a woman accused him of sexual misconduct stemming from an encounter in 2017, bringing intense public scrutiny to the 79-year-old actor's newfound fame. According to reports, the woman filed an official complaint, alleging that had made unwanted advances. Initially, the case was dismissed by police due to insufficient evidence. However, it was reopened in 2022 under renewed investigation. Denied the allegations, claiming he had only brushed the woman's hand unintentionally and that his actions were neither deliberate nor sexual. While he expressed regret if his behavior had been misinterpreted, he firmly maintained his innocence throughout the legal process. Despite this, the South Korean Ministry of Culture, Sports, and Tourism halted a promotional campaign featuring amid the controversy, signaling the significant public backlash the case had stirred. In March 2024, South Korean prosecutors formally charged Young-soo with indecent assault, a charge that, under Korean law, involves non-consensual sexual acts without physical coercion. He was ultimately sentenced to 8 months in prison, though the sentence was suspended for 2 years. Additionally, he was ordered to complete 40 hours of sexual violence education. The verdict marked a dramatic and sobering turn in the actor's long career. Once celebrated for embodying humility and wisdom on screen, now faces a legacy complicated by scandal, raising broader conversations about fame, accountability, and the consequences of personal actions, even late in life. Bill Cosby was once one of the most beloved and influential figures in American entertainment. Born in Philadelphia in 1937, he grew up in a working-class family and used humor as a tool to connect with others. After serving in the U.S. Navy and studying at Temple University, Cosby found his true calling in stand-up comedy. By the early 1960s, he had become a household name, charming audiences with relatable stories about everyday life. In 1965, Cosby shattered racial barriers by becoming the first Black actor to star in a primetime network drama, I Spy, a role that earned him 3 consecutive Emmy Awards. He continued to shape pop culture with Fat Albert and the Cosby Kids in the 1970s, and in 1984, he launched The Cosby Show, which portrayed a successful Black family with warmth, humor, and integrity. But behind the wholesome image was a disturbing truth. Allegations of sexual misconduct against Cosby dated back as far as the 1960s, though they were largely ignored or silenced due to his fame and influence. The first major public accusation came in 2005 when Andrea Constand, a Temple University employee, accused Cosby of drugging and assaulting her. Although that case was settled out of court, it opened the door for dozens more women to come forward. In 2014, comedian Hannibal Buress reignited public scrutiny with a viral stand-up bit that challenged Cosby's reputation, prompting a tidal wave of over 60 women who shared eerily similar stories of being drugged and sexually assaulted by Cosby over several decades. What followed was a cultural reckoning that became a defining moment in the growing Me Too movement. In 2015, Cosby was formally charged with aggravated sexual assault in the Constant case. His trial was seen as a landmark in the fight for justice against powerful men who had long evaded accountability. In 2018, he was convicted on 3 counts and sentenced to 10 years in prison. However, in a controversial turn, the Pennsylvania Supreme Court overturned his conviction in 2021, citing a previous agreement with prosecutors that should have prevented the charges. Though legally free, Cosby's reputation was irrevocably destroyed. Amy Locane, best known for her role on the hit 1990s series Melrose Place, stunned the public when her life took a tragic turn in 2010. While driving under the influence in New Jersey, Locane caused a devastating crash that killed 60-year-old Helen Seaman and seriously injured Helen's husband, Fred. Witnesses at the scene reported Locane's vehicle was speeding and appeared out of control before the fatal impact. A subsequent investigation revealed that her blood alcohol level was well above the legal limit. The incident shattered the lives of an innocent family and brought Amy Locane's once promising career to a sudden halt. In court, Locane expressed deep remorse for her actions, acknowledging the irreversible harm she had caused. Despite her emotional testimony, prosecutors argued that her recklessness had led to a completely avoidable tragedy. She was initially sentenced to 3 years in prison. However, the legal battle surrounding her sentencing dragged on for years, with multiple appeals and resentencings. Ultimately, her punishment was increased to reflect the severity of the crime and its devastating consequences. Amy Locane's story is a sobering reminder of how one poor decision, especially when involving alcohol and driving, can destroy lives in an instant. Once a rising star on television, her fall from grace serves as a cautionary tale about accountability, personal responsibility, and the fragility of fame. Will Hayden's fall from fame. Will Hayden, once known as the tough, straight-talking star of Sons of Guns, built a reputation as a firearms expert and TV personality. Leading Red Jacket Firearms, he gained a loyal audience who admired his craftsmanship, leadership, and larger-than-life presence on screen. For a time, he seemed like the embodiment of passion and skill in the world of firearms and reality television. But in 2014, his public image took a dramatic turn. Allegations surfaced that led to a broader investigation, uncovering deeply troubling behavior spanning several years. What began with a single report quickly expanded, with multiple individuals coming forward and contributing to the growing case. The contrast between his TV persona and the emerging details was staggering, leaving fans and the public in disbelief. In 2017, Hayden was convicted in court following extensive testimony and evidence. He received a life sentence, and Sons of Guns was promptly canceled. The rapid fall from fame was not just a personal downfall, but also a powerful reminder that appearances can be deceiving, and that no level of fame protects someone from facing serious consequences when the truth comes to light. From spotlight to cell, the Kaalan Walker scandal. Kaalan Walker, once a promising actor and rapper, gained attention for his role in the 2018 film Superfly. With undeniable talent and a burgeoning career, he seemed poised for stardom. However, in 2018, allegations surfaced accusing Walker of exploiting his celebrity status to take advantage of aspiring models and actresses. Prosecutors asserted that he used social media platforms to lure these individuals with promises of professional opportunities, only to betray their trust. During his high-profile trial, multiple victims testified, revealing a pattern of deceit and misconduct. The court proceedings shocked both the public and the entertainment industry. In October 2022, Walker was convicted on multiple charges and sentenced to 50 years to life in prison. The entertainment community, once supportive of his ascent, swiftly distanced itself. Fans and former colleagues expressed outrage not only at Walker, but also at the systemic failures that allowed his actions to persist unchecked. His downfall serves as a stark reminder of the potential for abuse of power within the industry and underscores the importance of vigilance and accountability. The rise and fall of Zachary Horwitz. Zachary Horwitz wasn't a household name, but in Hollywood circles, he was known as a rising actor and sharp-minded entrepreneur. Under the name Zach Avery, he played the part well appearing in indie films while presenting himself as a thriving film distributor and founder of One Inim Capital. From the outside, his world looked golden, sleek luxury cars, a $6 million LA mansion, VIP parties, and confident talk of lucrative film licensing deals with streaming giants like HBO and Netflix. Between 2014 and 2019, Horwitz managed to convince dozens of investors, many of them friends and colleagues from the entertainment world, that he was brokering international rights to major Hollywood films. The pitch was airtight, short-term loans with high returns, backed by forged contracts and confident updates. What they didn't know was that there were no real deals, no agreements with the studios, no actual profits. Behind the curtain was a $650 million Ponzi scheme. Horwitz used money from new investors to pay off earlier ones, keeping up appearances while the deception grew deeper. As the flow of new investments slowed, cracks began to show. Promised payments stalled, and uneasy questions started to emerge. In 2021, federal agents arrested Horwitz, and soon the full scale of the scheme was exposed. Court documents revealed just how elaborate the ruse had been and how much trust had been betrayed. In 2022, Horwitz was sentenced to 20 years in prison for securities fraud, ending a scheme that left hundreds of investors devastated.